This episode of Sideline Warning is brought to you by Roosport, makers of the original magnetic running pouch. Whether you're biking, running, hiking, or even traveling, the Roosport clips to your waistband with magnets for an easy, convenient way to carry what you need without the bulk of belts or bags. Visit theroosport.com and use the code SIDELINE30, all lowercase, for 30% off their entire product line. Again, that's theroosport.com, promo code SIDELINE30. And now on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sideline Warning, the show where sports takes are sure to go way too far into the field. Here to recap this week's biggest and best sports stories are your hosts, Dave Adams, Ben Foster, and Adam Russell.
And welcome into Sideline Warning, everybody. My name is Dave Adams, the one, the only, the golden voice of the Southeast, coming to you live and in living color from Harvest, Alabama. That's right, the top of the state of Alabama, because we're always on top of everything. And as always, I have brought along my friends all the way from Birmingham, Alabama, the one, the only, Hollywood Ben Foster. What's going on, Ben?
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
It's going, man. I'm stumbling on my words tonight.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge. I don't know what's going on. I've had a rough week already.
Are you a little tongue-tied?
It's just been like a week of Mondays, and it's only Tuesday night for us.
Well,
I don't know how it's not Thursday already.
it does seem like it's been a long week. I do think that we're in a similar time warp.
Yeah, I mean, we had the slowest Super Bowl of all time. We had to sit through on Sunday.
That lasted a week, didn't it?
It felt like it did, and the commercials weren't good. The halftime show was horrible, but that's something we'll get into later. And I know somebody that probably said the game was also horrible. He's all the way down from the House of Mouse, from South Chase, from Tavares, from Titusville, from Wekiva Springs, from Winter Garden, from Paisley, from Orla Vista, from Lake Hart, from St. Cloud, the phenomenal brother, Adam Russell.
How are you, Dave? It's Tavares. Good try, though.
Are you serious?
Tavares.
It looks like Tavares.
Tavares.
Okay. See, I tried to do my research for the show.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
Well,
The
golden voice
pronunciation to varies
his
from
best.
who's saying it.
oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, Ben.
Nice one.
Did I just hear one of the puppies of the Sideline Warning?
Yes, one of the dogs of Sideline Warning was listening in and had to add a few contributions to the show.
Well, hey, how about this? Everyone knows that we've probably announced it last week that the golden voice of the Southeast is getting a golden retriever. But we're at an impasse for names. There are 4 names that we're trying to decide in my family for the golden voice of the Southeast golden retriever. So I'm going to put it to the listeners of Sideline Warning. If you are listening to this podcast, and why aren't you? But if you're listening to this podcast, I want you to put on our Facebook fan group what you think the name of my golden retriever should be between these 4 names: Champ, Chip, Walt, or Max. Champ, Chip, Walt, or Max. What do you think, guys?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't know. Champ's a pretty good name for a golden retriever. I think I had been leaning towards one of the other names, but now that I think about it, Champ is kind of the one I like the most.
But I think the context behind those 4 names is everything, though, Dave.
Right. Okay. So y'all all know that I'm a huge Disney fan. Walt, of course, for Walt Disney. Champ, just because it's a sports thing. I mean, and as the golden voice of the Southeast, I am the champ, and we're Bama fans. So we're champions. Max, my daughter loves Goofy, and she loves the Goofy movie. And Max is Goofy's son's name.
And she picked that name.
You're right.
Okay. I just want to make sure that gets out there.
And then Chip. I think Chip is the perfect name.
Because you love Chip Carey, the Braves broadcaster?
Well, there's Chip Carey. It's short for Chipper Jones. And then you bring my Disney love in. Chip is the cup from Beauty and the Beast, and also Chip from Chip and Dale. So I'm leaning, and not to tell the voters where to go, but I'm leaning Chip or Walt. Those are my two names I'd want for the Golden Voices.
Not to tell the voters where to go, but here's what I'd like you to do.
Right.
And not to tell the voters where to go, but your daughter picked Max. So
we will actually
you know
post
my
that.
opinion.
We will actually post that as a Twitter poll.
Yeah, we'll do a Twitter poll, and we'll also do the Facebook fan group poll.
So make sure you let Amanda know that whatever the results of the poll are final.
Well, I don't know if I can tell my wife that that's the final name.
Our listeners, they demand that their
this?
voice be heard.
Okay. How about this? If we get more than 20 votes, I will let that be known. More than 20 votes. That's how it would go. Okay.
This is going to be fun. Go ahead.
Let's get the show going. A couple of weeks ago, we had the honor to have the lead reporter for the Orlando Apollos, Tom Alexander, on the show, and we had a good conversation with him. Well, we actually had the lead reporter for the Birmingham Iron on. We did an interview with him just a couple of minutes ago, Marq Burnett, and we had a great conversation about what to expect for the Birmingham Iron season, what to expect with all these Alabama and Auburn players on the team. We're going to play that for you right now, and we'll see you on the other side here with Marq Burnett.
And welcome back into Sideline Warning. We're here with Marq Burnett from the Birmingham Iron, here to tell us about the team. The Alliance of American Football gets kicked off the inaugural season. The first games are this Sunday, and the Birmingham Iron have a home game. Marq, welcome onto the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Marq, you've been working with this team for several weeks now. You've gotten to see everything form from scratch and get off the ground. What is the state of affairs of the team right now? Are they ready to play Sunday?
Yeah, I think the team's definitely ready to play. I think the team's anxious to go. I think that's probably the one thing that you can count on in terms of guys being ready to hit the field and being able to play. Most of these guys, stayed in pretty good shape, and they've been working out, since mini camp. Training camp in San Antonio was a month, and now that they're practicing back in their respective cities. So I definitely think the team's ready to go. A lot of times it's just administrative stuff, dotting some I's, crossing some T's in terms of starting the league from scratch. But I think the players are ready to go and they're ready to hit the ground running.
Marq, for you, I presume you've sat in on some practices. You've kind of seen what this team's working on. What is the identity of the Birmingham Iron? How are they going to play football?
Yeah, Tim Lewis is a very hard-nosed, disciplined coach. So I think he wants his team to play, in that way. He wants them to be, fast-paced on offense and really pound the ball with the run game, but also take advantage of the skill players that they have. And defensively, I think he's going to mix it up. He's got some nice pass rushers. He's got some really good and talented defensive backs. So obviously he's going to want to stop the run, but I think he's a defensive back by trade. So one of his big things is definitely not giving up any bombs on the back end. So I'll be interested to see how this team sort of gels. But, from what I've seen in training camp and the one scrimmage that they did have, the first team offense and defense both look really good.
Marq, you said talk about Tim Lewis. We had Tom Alexander of the Orlando Apollo on a couple weeks ago, and he talked about Steve Spurrier, and everyone knows about Steve Spurrier. Not many people know about Tim Lewis. Can you give us some background on Tim Lewis? What's he like? You say he's a defensive back by trade, but that's really all most people know about him. What's he like as a coach, as a person, anything else?
Well, yeah, I mean, speaking of him, his playing career, I'll start with that. I didn't realize how talented of a football player he was until I started looking him up today. Actually, I was doing a quick, bullet points on him for a broadcast partner. But, he was the 11th overall pick back in the 1983 draft. Coming out of Pittsburgh, he got selected by the Green Bay Packers and was their top defensive back. He led the team or tied for the team lead in interceptions in 1983 and 1985. But his career was cut tragically short after a severe neck injury sidelined him. So he immediately went into coaching after that. But if you think about it, he could have been, who knows how good he could have been as a player because he was already trajecting to be really great. But, he obviously went into coaching from there, coached at the collegiate level, made some stops along the way. A career assistant coach, and this is his first opportunity to be a head coach on any level. And, I asked him about that after the team's first scrimmage, And he was very giddy, talked about having butterflies, talked about sort of trying to soak up the moment. And that's one of the things I think the Alliance has been really great about. It's just giving guys second chances who probably would never had opportunities. And then having a coach like Lewis who's got 30-plus years of experience. He's a guy who's just now getting a head coaching opportunity. So I think he's a great person, very, like I said, very disciplined, very regimented in how he likes to approach things. But I definitely think he's a guy who likes to be laid back to a degree. He lets the players be themselves, but he wants it run a certain way. And I think the people of Birmingham are going to be proud in terms of how he runs his program.
Cool. Staying on the coaching thing, Mark, just a couple of weeks ago, the Iron lost a running backs coach who decided to go back to his alma mater of Auburn, Carnell Williams. What did that do to the team's mentality? What did that do to the coaching aspect? Have they filled that position? Have they gelled with the running backs? What's going on with that right now?
Well, the good thing about that, it happened early enough in training camp that they were able to adjust. They have adjusted from there. You can't blame a guy like Cadillac for wanting to go back to his alma mater. That's one of those once-in-a-lifetime type opportunities. But the running backs do have a leader in Trent Richardson. He was a guy who's voted as a captain. He's the guy who's been able to lead that group. So, having a veteran group and a veteran guy like Trent if it was going to happen to any position, you'd rather be in a position like that with a guy with a ton of experience. So I think the running backs are going to be fine. Just a matter of, continuing to gel and continue to figure out how they want to fit into this offense.
Now, Mark, we know how Trent Richardson left the NFL. It wasn't exactly the most positive vibe. There were lots of people that were critical of his health and the way he stayed in shape and the way he played. What's different about Trent Richardson now that he's playing for the Iron, now that he's getting this chance in the AAF?
Well, I think it's one of those situations where Trent, has figured out that it's a business. Obviously, I think, sometimes guys get into the NFL and they're having a little bit of success, and then all of a sudden they get traded or they get, cut, and then, they're onto a new team before you know it. And some guys don't really rebound well from that. You got to think about it. He had a pretty solid rookie season, almost rushed for 1,000 yards. And then it looked like he was well on his way to having a decent career. And then boom, he gets traded shortly after. And then next thing you know, 5 years later, he's out of the league. So I think, he's obviously a talented player, but I think he also understands that the shelf life of running backs is what it is. And I think he understands that this could be his last opportunity. So if he doesn't take advantage of this one, you just may not get another shot. It's not like you're a receiver who can play into your 30s. Once you're a running back, once you hit 28, 29 as a running back, they're already looking at the next guy. I mean, even look at a guy like Adrian Peterson, who's considered, a generational talent. You don't really hear about him much anymore. Once guys hit that 30 hill, and also too, running back's that position where you can kind of find guys. It's sad to say it, but I mean, not necessarily off the street, but you look at the New England Patriots. I mean, they had a guy like Rex Burkhead who was, scored a big time touchdown for them in the AFC Championship game, and then he played well in the Super Bowl as well. So, that's just the thing about that position is that so many guys are eager to play it, and you don't necessarily have to be a top pick to have success. So I think Trent understands what he's up against. He understands that if he's going to have an opportunity to get back to the league, this is the best shot he's got.
Mark, we're sitting here talking about Trent Richardson, which, as everybody knows, is a former Alabama player. So I guess that's a great segue to leap into the roster here. 5 or 6 Alabama players? What have you noticed with these Alabama players separating themselves from the pack? Have they really gelled as Alabama players, or have they gelled as a team? Do they hang around as a group to themselves, or is it really becoming a team aspect over there?
Oh, it's definitely a team aspect. I mean, if there's one group that's probably gelled the most, it would probably be offensive linemen, because I think they have about 4 former Alabama offensive linemen, and you guys know how offensive linemen kind of have to be. All 5 have to be on the same page, or if one is making a mistake, then the entire group looks bad. So I think the offensive line is probably the one group where you can say that's the most Alabama-heavy position. But you got Trent, you got Blake Sims at backup quarterback, got Bradley Silva, on the defensive back, and then you got Xavier Dixon as the outside linebacker. So quite a few guys, about 8 or 9 guys, and then Cole Mazza also. Can't forget about Cole Mazza.
Oh wow,
former long snapper. So about 8, 9 former Alabama guys, a bunch of Auburn guys. The state is well represented, and I think if you're a fan of Alabama or Auburn, you should come out and support the guys who used to be stars on your collegiate team, and also just support the guys who still have pride for the state in general. So I think, this is a really great opportunity, and I really like how the Alliance set it up in terms of trying to have local guys come back and play for their respective states.
Yeah, you mentioned Blake Sims as the backup quarterback. Not many people know who Luis Perez is. Can you go into his collegiate career and what he's been doing before the AAF and why Birmingham fans should get excited about Perez as a starting quarterback?
Yeah, definitely. Luis Perez is a guy who didn't play high school varsity football, so obviously didn't get many offers. He goes to the junior college route. At one point, he was 9th out of 9 on the depth chart at his junior college, which seems bizarre. It's like, why do you have 9 quarterbacks, and how are you the 9th of 9? So, so he works his way up from that. Guys get hurt or guys transfer out, and he's able to get his opportunity. But that didn't earn him any D1 offers, and he ended up going to D2 where he balled out. He played lights out, won the Harlan Hill Award as the best player in Division II as a senior, and he put up really good numbers, but that wasn't enough to get him drafted. And then he was able to get picked up by the Rams, and if you Google his name, you'll see some stories about him sort of pissing off Rams coach Sean McVay because he would beat McVay into the building sometimes. And obviously, as the coach, you want to be the first guy in there. You don't want anybody showing you up. So. But Perez, he didn't get a lot of opportunities. He was a 4th-string guy, and you guys know how it is when you're that low on the depth chart at an NFL camp. It's just not going to be a lot of reps for you, especially with the starter wanting his fair share of reps and the backup having to be involved in the game plan as well. So he was eventually cut, but I think this is probably a great opportunity for him because he's giving him a chance to show what he can do. And I think it wouldn't be shocking to me at all if he was picked up by an NFL team after this.
Well, that's pretty cool. Is there going to be a chance that we see Blake Sims play, or is there going to be a package kind of like a Wildcat for Blake Sims? I know you probably can't give away plays, but is Blake Sims going to see the playing field?
Yeah, I definitely can't give away plays, but I did talk to Coach Lewis about Blake, and he said that they obviously want to take advantage of his athleticism and some of the things he can do. Blake has looked solid in practice, and I think he still got that speed, still got that elusiveness, still really good pocket awareness, able to duck out of the pressure whenever it's coming. So I think the Irons are going to want to take advantage of all the weapons, and Blake is one of those.
Well, cool. So let's get into the meat of the schedule here. We open with Memphis. What's the Memphis team like? I haven't done much research on Memphis. Is it going to be a tough, hard-nosed game, or is this going to be a new rivalry, Memphis versus Birmingham, or what's going on with that?
Well, according to the Vegas eyes, these two teams are competing to be the worst in the league. So, the Vegas guys are always smarter than all of us. But I'm interested to see this matchup because I think both teams have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. So I think this one could go a long way in sort of determining how things are going to shake out, because I think both teams are looking at those Vegas odds and saying, okay, we'll show you who's going to be the last place team. And I think both teams are going to come out with a definite chip on their shoulder. So I think we could actually get a really good game out of this. I'm kind of glad those Vegas odds came out when they did, because I talked to a couple of players and they were like, man, we got some dogs on our team. We're going to show people. So I'm really excited about this matchup.
Yeah, I was afraid to bring that up because I didn't know if that was a sore spot to talk about. But with all of these Alabama and Auburn players on this team, how are we saying that this could be one of the worst teams in the league? Because they come from great collegiate teams and they know these guys they're playing against. I mean, Aaron Murray's on Atlanta. Bama and Auburn both beat Aaron Murray. Why are we saying that Birmingham might be one of the worst teams in the league?
Yeah, you just never know with that. It could be a situation where, you're looking at a head coach at a certain program and you're like, okay, well, I like this head coach and I like his track record and I expect him to be able to do X, Y, Z, so I will slate his odds at this. Or I don't like this coach or I don't know much about this coach, so I'm going to put his odds here. So I don't know what the guys out in the desert are up to when it comes to that. They're way smarter than I am. They make a lot more money than I do. So I just rely on them and I use it as fodder and talking points. But outside of that, it doesn't really matter a ton.
Well, let's talk about Birmingham as a whole for this group. Is Birmingham kind of excited about the league coming in? I know Birmingham has had many other teams that have had leagues fail in the past, and I know the city is probably excited about having a team. What have you heard from the city of Birmingham about the Iron coming in?
Yeah, I definitely think the city is excited. I think they've embraced them. I think it's all going to be a matter of putting a good product on the field. That's the last thing. I think they've done a good job in terms of reaching out to the community, whether that be with charitable works. Coach Pendry and Tom Ward, the president, were at a city council meeting today, handed out some T-shirts to councilmen, and did that whole thing. So they're definitely doing their best. They started an initiative called Iron Kids program where they reach out to youth in the city in terms of trying to help them with their fitness at elementary and middle school age. So they're definitely doing their best to ingratiate themselves into the community. So I think the community is going to respond well and support this team because, why not? Why not give them a shot? Why not come out and support? This is the thing. This is the way I look at it, right? There are a ton of kids who go play college football who never get a shot at the NFL. I mean, you're 22, you're 23, you come out, you don't get drafted, you make maybe a rookie mini camp, make a training camp, but then boom, they cut you because, they like some other kid better, which is fine. But at the same time, your NFL career, unless you want to stick around and continue to bounce from camp to camp, your NFL career is over. And there's no farm system. It's not like the NBA where you can go to the D League or the MLB where you can go to all the different baseball ranks. Football has always just been either you're great in college football and go to the NFL or you're kind of screwed. So I think the Alliance is giving guys an opportunity to sort of have an extra shot. And I think it's going to be a great system where if they push it as a developmental league, which I expect them to do, I think it's going to be really great in terms of having that partnership with the NFL. And just being built on giving guys another opportunity to showcase their skills and letting guys know that, hey, you don't have to give up on your dreams. We got a spot for you here. And I think that's going to be huge.
So when you look ahead to game day, it looks like there's a preseason party this Thursday. There's some giveaways at the game. All those people who are excited, who are getting into it, what kind of stuff can they expect this week leading up to it and then Sunday at the game itself?
Yeah, we do have the Pump Up the Iron kickoff party on Thursday night, as you mentioned. It's going to be at Iron City, 5:30 for season ticket holders and 6:30 for general admission. The event is free. Going to have select players there. So come out, support the team. I think everybody should definitely support. And again, I go back to why not support them? What else are you going to be doing on a Sunday night on a Sunday afternoon after church? Come watch a little football. The weather should be good. So they'll have that event. They'll have some other things, some pop-ups. And the first 20,000 people into Legion Field on Sunday will get a blackout T-shirt. So if you do come to the game, wear black. And then, the mayor of Birmingham today declared, this coming Friday, Black Friday for the Iron. So doing a lot of stuff in the community so far, and I think it's all going to pay off. And I urge everyone to come out and support and check it out. I expect the game day operations to go over very smooth, and I expect a good game on the field.
Hey, Mark, really quick, right before we went on, I had our Twitter followers give us some good questions to ask you, and one just came through. Why did the Iron get hosed with 4 of the last 5 games on the road with the schedule? What's going on with that?
That's a great question. I think, the scheduling is one of those situations where I think they were trying to see, this is just my opinion. I honestly don't know for sure, but if I had to guess, I think there are some stadiums that were ready to be run from day one, whereas other stadiums they're still trying to figure out. So some teams are kind of on the road for a while, like the Salt Lake team. Their stadiums and their operations weren't up to par yet, so they're on the road for a few weeks or to start the season. So I think it's just the luck of the draw, and that's the good thing though. If you want to come out and support your team, you want them to, get those home games maybe spread out a little bit better. Come out, support the first few weeks, and then your team, you can cheer them on, and they'll be there for you to see.
Cool. Hey, really quick, before I let Adam ask his next question, I saw he was about to lean into the mic. But really quick, Mark, we talk about the games being played at Legion Field, the old Gray Lady. How has that looked for the Iron? I know with the UAB, them playing their home games there at the Gray Lady, it's kind of looked like it was a 1960s, 1970s stadium. Has the city done a lot to help the old Gray Lady look a little bit better for this professional league, or are we kind of just limping along waiting till the new stadium gets built in a couple of years?
Well, I think that's one of those situations where, it's probably a little bit too much to ask the city to do in terms of major renovations to the Legion Field. But I think they're going to do their best, to make it a spot people want to come to. I think you'll see some things that make it look like a more professional atmosphere. But at the same time, you kind of limit it to a degree because you don't want to make a ton of renovations, especially when UAB's got that new stadium coming in 2 or 3 years. It would be kind of, how much do you want to actually invest into it when this brand new stadium is coming? So I think it'll look a little bit better. That's one of those things that I'm excited to see here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I live down in Orlando. These two guys are in Alabama. I'm in Orlando, so I've got the Apollos down here. So I feel like I have 2 home teams to root for. But when you guys come down here, it's going to be torn. I'm going to be torn on who to root for because I know one of the things for me that I always enjoyed was the Predators and like arena football. That's the closest thing to professional football we had down here for the longest time. Now we'll have this, which I think is going to be great. But what kind of niche do you feel like is this going to fill? Is it going to try to create a product similar to the NFL? Is it going to try to create a product similar to arena football? I mean, what kind of feel do you think that the actual experience is going to have on game day?
Yeah, I definitely think they want it to be as close to NFL professional football as possible. I don't think it'll be any semblance of arena football. I think they wanted this to be professional football. Obviously, everyone understands that it's not the NFL, but they also want it to be a situation where people can look at this as another, opportunity to watch professional football for a couple more months, 10 more weeks after the Super Bowl. Because there's always been that sort of void, from February to the summer. There's really nothing going on before NFL camps kicked off or before the draft. So this just gives people another opportunity, especially in a state like this where people obviously love their football from the time they're born to the time they die. So, Birmingham should definitely embrace this team.
Well, Mark, when we're looking at the schedule, there's 3 games scheduled for 7 o'clock on Sunday night, but the Birmingham game is scheduled for 3 o'clock. So when Birmingham kicks off, that really is the kickoff of the league. Tell folks how they can watch if they're not able to make it to Legion Field. This seems to be a very TV-friendly league. What's going on with broadcast schedules and everything for the Iron?
Yeah, so the first game will be on CBS Sports Network. You can stream it there. They'll have the app where you can stream it as well. And there are a lot of exciting things in terms of television coverage. CBS is obviously very involved. TNT is going to be involved. The NFL Network has come on as a partner. So they'll announce the times and network each week like they do for in other situations. But I think it's going to be great. People will definitely be able to find this. People will definitely be able to see this. It's going to be some primetime games where people can sit down and gather with the whole family, or they can come out and watch them and make a day out of it or a night out of it. And the good thing about these games is that they're not going to be all night. They're not going to be 4-hour drags like we see with some college football games. They're just going to be 2.5 hours, and they're going to get you in and get you out. You're not going to feel like you have to dedicate an entire day or week to it. It's just going to be something fun for everybody to do, and I think it's going to be great.
Well, Mark, we appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and talk about the Iron. I know as a Birmingham guy, I am fired up about this. I am planning to be out there Sunday afternoon. I'm really looking forward to it. What else do we need to know about this team and know about this game on Sunday?
Yeah, I think people need to understand that, hey, this is going to be professional football. It's going to be a well-run league. It's going to be a well-run team. Got Joe Pendry, Tim Lewis, 2 very professional men with a life's worth of experience in terms of football. Got a very talented team. A lot of Alabama, Auburn guys, a lot of guys from the state. Troy, well represented the entire state is. So I think everybody should come out, check out that first game. At worst, you get a free T-shirt and you get a chance to see some football. Tickets aren't expensive, so it's there's really no excuse not to come out. It's a perfect time. Church should be over. You've already had lunch. Come out, enjoy some good football with the family or with your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, or whoever your partner, and have a great time.
Mark, before we let you go, I do have to ask this. For people who aren't around a TV and aren't able to make it to the game, will there be a radio broadcast? And who will be calling those games if there is a radio broadcast?
Yeah, there will be a radio broadcast. Tom Abraham and former Alabama offensive lineman, All-American Mike Johnson will be on the call.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you being on the show, Mark. He is Marq Burnett. He's with the Birmingham Iron. If you want to follow him on Twitter, he is at Marq, _Burnett, Burnett, and he's with the Birmingham Iron. They are at AAF Iron on Twitter. So that's why you can keep up with Mark and keep up with the Iron on Twitter. They'll be tweeting out information about the radio broadcast, the TV broadcasts, all of those things. Mark, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great talking with you.
Hey, thanks, guys. Anytime.
All right, Mark, go Iron.
Hey, appreciate you guys.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was a great interview with Marq Burnett. I think I'm incredibly fired up for the Birmingham Iron season. I think I'm incredibly fired up for what the AAF is going to bring into this new world of football.
I am ready for some football.
I am ready for some real football because what we saw Sunday was not real football, guys. But, something else I'm fired up for is our relationship and our sponsorship with the Roo Sport. Adam, have you been using your Roo Sport pouch in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah. I have.
That didn't sound too excited.
We've mentioned, I've mentioned briefly in passing my Achilles issues that will probably force me to walk this upcoming half marathon that we've paid so much money for, Dave. But yes, when I have been exercising, and even now when I just go to the gym to do other stuff, I'm finding that my Roo Sport comes in handy. Really great with the AirPods that I got for Christmas. When you can just throw your phone in that little case in there, it works great because you don't have to worry about the cord. Even though Roo Sport does accommodate the cord too. I'm loving it with the AirPods. So yeah, even though I necessarily haven't been running as much as I would like to, I've been using it when I go to the gym, not just when I'm out running. So.
Hey, and it doesn't matter if you're running or walking, you're still getting the miles in. And people who don't exercise, they're not getting those miles in. But even if you're not going to use the Roo Sport to run or to exercise, we have found multiple situations where the Roo Sport comes in handy. You go to festivals like Ben goes to. You go to theme parks like I go to a lot. You have the Roo Sport there clipped to your belt. Or clip to your belt or your waistband without having to use an actual fanny pack looking thing. You don't want to be the dad that goes into the group where you're wearing a fanny pack. You have this Roo Sport clipped to your waistband. It's basically like nothing's there. You can put money in there. You can put your chapstick in there. You put gum in there. Put your phone in there. Everything's there in that Roo Sport right there where you need it. And Adam, where do we find this great product?
Yeah, you can go over to theroosport.com. That's their website with their full product line, and you can actually use the code SIDELINE30, all lowercase letters with the number 30, and you get 30% off everything that they sell in their entire product line. So give it a look. They've got the pouches for all sizes of the phones, all different colors. They've got the battery packs so you can make your phone last longer when you're out running or doing whatever you do in your Roo Sport. And then they've also got the Roo Lounger. So all of that product line, SIDELINE30 is the code to get 30% off.
And we've said for the last couple of weeks, be listening to where Adam and I are going to try to get Brenda and Earl to do a live ad read when we go to the expo here in a couple of weeks for the Princess Half Marathon down at Disney. We know they're going to be there, so hopefully they can give us a live ad read that we can actually hear on the show. But something else that we talk about every week, we want our fans and listeners to call into the show. Well, coming through in the clutch like he always does, BK from Cleveland, Ohio, has called in, and he's given us a great call. And we're going to play that for you here. We're going to talk about it. Ben, cue up BK's call.
What's going on, Sideline Warning? This is BK here from Cleveland, not Cincinnati. I mean, I get it. The supposed golden voice of the South has a really tough time, and I get it. You know, Ohio is weird anyways with all the sea cities. But anyways, I wanted to bring up a couple of topics. One of them, of course, being the basketball team. I wanted to comment on something that Adam made. He said something like he's really frustrated that it's always something that Alabama does wrong in basketball, whether it be poor free throw shooting or low percentage three-pointers. I mean, I get it. I'm not going to say Adam's harping on the basketball team, but in reality, at least to me, college basketball, there's always something that is they're not doing enough of. They're low three-point shooting, not getting the rebounds, so allowing offensive rebounds. I mean, that's probably true for the majority of all the college basketball teams that are in the NCAA. Now, what sets the great ones apart, though, is that after halftime, they usually fix it. So, you know, Duke, they may have poor three-point shooting one half, but they figure it out the second half. Kentucky the same way, and even the number one team, Tennessee. I'm sorry, I threw up in my mouth there a little bit when I said that. You know, the good teams, they always figure it out. So I don't think you blame coaching. I think it's part of the players. They need to get it together. You know, the coaching can only tell them so much. They know they need to work on this, but I get it. There's always something, but I guess in reality, Adam, to me, there always will be something that every college basketball team just cannot fix. The other thing is, of course, the Super Bowl. I mean, the Super Bowl was so boring. I mean, yeah, it was great defenses by the Rams and the Patriots. We all know they had great defenses, but I mean, when you had the talent on the offense, you had, Todd Gurley, you had Brandon Cooks, you had Jared Goff, and the Rams couldn't score. They only scored 3 points. And even, as the Patriots with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, I mean, Julian Edelman, he won the MVP for the Super Bowl, and he never scored a touchdown. I mean, he did have 171 yards, but regardless, it was just boring altogether. The game was boring. The halftime show was meh. I mean, at least I give Maroon 5 credit that they played their instruments and Adam Levine sang, but it was just kind of boring. I mean, I was honestly hoping when Big Boy rolled out in that Cadillac that Andre 3000 was right behind him and would have been a little miniature Outcast reunion. But even the commercials were boring. I can't really remember any of that. Just kind of stuck out to me. So boring Super Bowl, kind of a real. Wow, did the supposed golden voice cut me off? No, I don't know. I just ran out of time. But yeah, to rehash what I said, the Super Bowl, very boring. I think everybody will agree with me. But I do want to say one thing to the supposed golden voice of the South. Dave, you've got to give Tom Brady credit. He is the greatest of all time in the NFL, quarterback-wise. He's won 6 Super Bowls with the same team. I mean, the only other guy that he was tied with was Charles Haley, which he won, I believe, 3 with the Dallas Cowboys and 2 with the 3 with the Cowboys, 2 with the San Francisco 49ers. Tom Brady has won 6 Super Bowls with the same team. He's MVP'd. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. There's nobody that will ever touch him. I mean, maybe in your kids' lifetimes, somebody might come close to winning 6 Super Bowls, but not with one team. It's just not going to happen. With free agency, it's a miracle that they've done what they've done with the same quarterback and coach for all that matters. So, Dave, just grin and bear it. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. You're just going to have to deal with it there, Buttercup. But keep up the good work, guys. Maybe one day the supposed golden voice of the Southeast will let me really speak my mind. But anyways, have a good show, guys. I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Okay, Brian. I will say this once and once only. Tom Brady is a great quarterback. But let me ask you this, Brian. You're a Titans fan as well as I am. Would you have rather had Steve McNair or Tom Brady?
What? Are you kidding,
Guys,
Dave?
Look at me. What? I would rather have the mobile Steve McNair. Air McNair was the Titans. I really would rather have Steve McNair.
Oh, Dave!
I have no words.
Oh, Dave! You've got your powder blue and navy blue colored sunglasses on because that is the most absurd thing I have ever heard.
Okay, Ben. Let me ask you this: in their prime, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady?
Brady.
Adam, in their prime, Troy Aikman, Brady.
Brady.
Y'all are stupid. Okay.
What?
I'm offended. My goodness.
Okay. Let's get more.
Y'all are stupid. Clearly, Steve McNair's the better option.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Clearly.
Steve McNair. Get out of here, Dave.
Steve McNair is so great. So great.
So many people say he's the greatest of all time. Okay, let's get back to the other part of BK's call. Yes, the Super Bowl was boring. I've said it a couple times on the show already. That was the worst Super Bowl I've ever watched. But Adam, BK called you out a little bit on that.
Oh,
that
no,
call.
he actually agreed with me, but in a completely different way.
That's not how
the way
I
I like to look at it. We both agree that there are things that teams need to work on typically, and Alabama has almost won a game. But I do agree with what BK said, that it's all about adjustments, and Alabama just seems to get if they do improve, it's not enough, and in most cases they don't, it becomes a problem for the whole game. But I will disagree with him on one point. I don't know that it's not coaching in in most of the cases in Alabama's case, because I think the players have the talent. We recruit great guys. It's the development of the ability to be consistent that I think is missing with Alabama. So we'll agree to disagree, but I don't think he called me out, especially at the end of the call when he directly called you out. I at least have that to balance it out a little bit. So
see, here's the deal. Because I've known BK for a long time, he likes to call me out. And I don't like this whole supposed golden voice of the Southeast because let's face it, guys, I am the golden voice of the Southeast. Just like Ben is the Hollywood Ben Foster, and we have dubbed you the phenomenal brother. So I am the golden voice of the Southeast.
I don't know. Adam and I are in the Southeast as well, and our voices are pretty golden.
No, you're kind of...
Maybe you're just a voice, a golden voice of the Southeast, Dave.
No, Ben, your voice is kind of bronze. And Adam's... Yeah.
Tread lightly.
How about this? Ben, your voice is kind of silver. And Adam, because you didn't go to school to learn how to use your voice is kind of bronze. How does that work?
Dave keeps saying we went to school on how to use our voice. We received precisely 0 voice classes.
I don't know. Hey, I did have to learn how to hide a Southern accent because if you get me really talking, you've heard it come out in the show. My Southern accent does come out a little bit.
But wouldn't I get bonus points for the fact that I... Oh, there you go. Wouldn't I get bonus points for the fact that I received no training whatsoever and I'm still here?
Adam, you're right. I award you gold. For the rest of the show, you are the golden voice of the Southeast.
Yes!
Fine. Then can I be the phenomenal brother for the rest of the show?
You can be whatever you want to be, Dave. I'm
whatever
the
I want to be.
voice
Dave,
of the
Dave,
Southeast. Adam Russell.
You can be our funky brother.
From the middle of the state of Florida, because Florida's in the middle of everything. It's the golden voice of the Southeast for the next 30 minutes, Adam Russell.
Okay.
Ooh, that sounded good. Check out that voice.
Before the show goes totally off the rails, let's bring it in and talk about what we need to talk about. And this is something that has been on the hopper for the last couple of weeks. After the Jalen Hurts thing, because we all understand why Jalen Hurts transferred. Jalen Hurts needed to go either somewhere else to let his talents be shown because he gave his time into the University of Alabama. After that, basically all Hades broke loose and everybody wanted to go into this supposed transfer portal. I am anti-transfer portal. Adam is very, very, very pro-transfer portal. Well, what really set it off today of all days is Alabama outside linebacker, who a 5-star member of the Tide's 2018 signing class. I'm going to totally mispronounce this guy's name. Iyabi Anoma. Did I say that right, guys?
Works for me.
Okay, Iyabi Anoma. Okay. He got 9 tackles, basically played mostly on special teams. He was supposedly the number 4 prospect in the country last year. Well, he's entered the transfer portal. This is the 3rd player in the past 48 hours for the University of Alabama to enter the transfer portal. I hearken back to, and this is going to sound very get off my lawn guy. I hearken back to the turn of the century, 1999, 2000, 2001. You never heard about players transferring. It was once in a blue moon. They might have transferred, but it really wasn't a big deal. But now you hear about it every day. And I understand that social media has played a big hand in this. We see the players complaining and moaning and for lack of a better term, bitching and moaning on that's the 5-letter word, not a 4-letter word, Adam. Okay. Moaning on Twitter and the social medias because they don't get the playing time. They want to go and go where they're feeling welcome. But I was brought up in an era where you let your yes be yes and your no be no. When you make a commitment, you stick to that commitment no matter what the consequences were. Well, in this millennial generation, apparently parents are not making their kids stick to those commitments. And we're allowing this transfer. And we are basically accepting this as part of this generation, part of this new free agency of football. I think that if you transfer, you should only transfer once, and there should be circumstances like a family issue where you have to transfer. Adam, on the other hand, go ahead, Adam. Tell me why you're opposed to this.
Well, there's several different ways you can approach the argument, Dave, and I think we've done most of them over text. So I'll start with the one I think we started with back when we first had this conversation of you have a athlete who is a student. And the point that you brought up at that time was that it was someone who had transferred because one of the coaches that recruited them and that they were going to work under had left. So the point that I used back was if I'm a student at the University of Alabama, which actually did happen after I left, and I went there for industrial engineering. And a few years after I graduated, the industrial engineering department closed. And so if I was a student there at that time when what I had majored in shut down, what exactly is it that I'm supposed to do then when that shuts down? When what I originally signed up for had completely changed, what am I supposed to do? And if we keep saying that these are students first, they're student athletes, they're students at a university first, athletics is treated like an extracurricular activity, then I think we have to treat it like that and allow them to have the same flexibility that an actual student would.
Dave said he was going to give an extremely old man, get off my lawn take, and that's exactly what he delivered. To sit here and blame stuff on millennials, to just say that millennials are the problem and that it's this young generation, that's absolutely absurd, because they're sitting there watching a generation of baby boomers and Gen Xers that were like, oh, peace, I'm leaving whenever I want to as coaches.
Oh my gosh, really?
Hang on, wait, let's
really?
Look at the
Hold
culture.
up now.
No, you hold up now. Let's look at the culture that's been created. These kids are on TV as seniors in high school being broadcast with their decision in front of the media. They're being told from a young age how special they are and talented they are. And no offense to Iyabi Anoma, you got stuck behind Anthony Jennings and Christian Miller. Yeah, you're going to be on the bench.
But they're leaving. So next year, you're the next man up. So why not stick it out?
Okay, well, sticking it out or not sticking it out was not the point you made. The point was you should let your yes be yes and your no be no. And so the time has come for us as collegiate football fans to choose one path or the other. Either these people are students who are doing football as an extracurricular activity and they will not be paid, or they are people who are doing something and are going to get a cut of what they take. Because if you tell somebody you're going to come to my university, and if the coach that you signed up to play under and the person who you feel like is going to develop you the most and unlock the most potential for you to go into the NFL or do what you can on the field has left, you have to stay anyway, even if it's not the best thing for you. They have now become the property of that university, Dave. And we're basically just regenerating a cycle of some form of slavery where I've got to sit here at this university and help this wait, no, you hang on and let me finish. We've got to sit here and let this university make money off of my back while I sit here under a coaching staff that isn't even letting me play because I signed something when I was a freaking senior in high school. They're not even at an age in most of these cases, in some of these cases, where they can even sign something and make that kind of commitment, but they're doing it anyway. So if they're students first and athletes second, they should be allowed to transfer. If they're athletes first and students second and they should have to stick to that contract, then they need to be compensated in some sort if they're going to be made to stay somewhere. And that's why I support the transfer portal, because it's about unlocking the potential of these young people. And if we're going to unlock their potential, if the coaching staff that's there doesn't work, if the situation changes or they go in a postseason ban and that program doesn't have something that they need to have for that person anymore, they should be able to go where the best thing, just like every other student on campus would do the same thing. If their department closed, if a professor left, if their grant got pulled for research they were doing, they would leave too. So are they students or are they property?
So if you get into the whole paying players discussion, where does that stop? Do we pay the women's rowing team? Do we pay the women's basketball team? Do we pay the men's basketball team? Because if you pay the men's football team, you also have to pay every other athlete on campus.
You tell me when you're going to get on your old man rant about a woman rowing person leaving the university to go to Tennessee.
I'm not,
when
because
would you
that's
ever
not a problem.
Why? But hang on. But why is it not a problem? It's only not a problem because you don't sit here on a national media stage and have women's rowing talk about rivalries and schools pitting against each other where there's millions of TV dollars on the table. That's why. The only reason it's a big deal for someone if Jalen had gone to Auburn, that would have been a huge deal inside of the SEC. The only reason being it would have given Auburn that much more of a chance to beat Alabama for the money, Dave, because there's money on the table. There's
I don't
a national
care about the
championship
money.
and
I don't
bonuses
care.
and TV money at
I'm
stake.
going to say this right here and right now. I don't give a flying rat's you know what about the money that comes in right now. If Jalen had gone to Auburn, I would be mad because he went to Auburn, not because of the money that would be coming in.
What if it was the best thing for Jalen? We sit here and we applaud and we
great.
slow clap. Hang on.
Look.
Wait. We sit here. Let me shout out to Alabama Nation really quick. We sit here and we slow clap for Jalen. Oh, thank you for your service, Jalen. We love you so much and we appreciate everything you've done because you won the SEC championship. Had he wet the bed in the SEC championship game and then left and gone to Auburn, he'd be the most hated person in the state. But because he went to Oklahoma and it's good for us, we sit here and we slow clap for him. And it's so disingenuous because these kids, first and foremost, are at this university to A, get an education, and B, get developed in a way where they can go to the NFL. And if the University of Alabama doesn't provide it for this guy and these other two people that have transferred, best of luck to you and go ahead and transfer somewhere else. Because we're going to sit here and say, we're going to hold you here because you told us 3 years ago that you were never going to leave. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's modern day slavery. Ben?
Yeah, Ben, do you want to follow that one? Because I'm not going to follow that
no,
one.
I'm enjoying eating my popcorn because it's usually one of you guys eating popcorn while I'm arguing with one of you guys. So this is really great. This is finally a popcorn discussion for me. So I'm just going to sit back here, throw a little extra butter on the popcorn, and enjoy. But look, you guys, you're trying to conflate two different arguments. Whether you pay the players or not is different from whether or not you let the students have open transfers. And whether or not they're getting paid, let's put that aside. We can argue that one all summer long and have about 10 podcasts on that. The question is whether or not these guys should be able to transfer. And I say, why not?
Okay. Do we want open free agency? Are we going to do a true NFL type thing in the college football? You got an open free agency. Do your thing.
Why does college football exist?
Because it's amateur players playing for your university.
Okay. If they're amateur players and not professionals, why are they held to a contract?
Because that's how the NCAA is. You sign a
but the
national
NCAA
letter of
allows
intent.
you sign a national letter of intent when you're 17 years old.
18.
Everybody's always 18 every time. Okay, so we're going to hold them to a contract, a decision they made at 18. Situations change, coaching staffs change, programs change, get postseason bans, people leave, come and go.
And that's understandable.
But it's not. You said only family situations.
I said other circumstances, but mostly family. It's understandable because the NCAA allows it. If there's a postseason ban, go. You don't have to sit out. That is part of the NCAA bylaws. But if you're going just because you're not getting playing time, then who cares?
So you're okay, Dave.
Alabama,
Dave, you're okay with Kelly Bryant right now. The one of the things that brought this up recently is Kelly Bryant at Missouri. He gets to Missouri, and right after he gets there, they find out Missouri's sanctioned, and they're not going to be bowl eligible. They're going to lose scholarships. You're okay with Kelly Bryant leaving Mizzou, right?
No, Kelly Bryant has actually come out and said, I'm going to stick here. I'm going to honor my commitment and stay with Missouri.
But if he wanted to leave, you'd be okay with that, right? Because Missouri is getting all these sanctions.
I would give him a side eye, but I would say, you know what? You're in the letter of the law. Go ahead. I wouldn't approve it or disapprove it, but I would kind of go, that's kind of weird. But
it's weird. It's weird to want to leave a school when you can't play in a bowl game.
I applaud him for staying because he is actually doing the right thing and sticking it out.
I applaud him for doing the right thing for him as an individual, just as I would applaud someone who transferred because it's the right thing for them as an individual. At the end of the day,
Adam, let me
They
ask
should
you
have
this.
the same freedom to transfer just like every other student, because technically these guys may major in kinesiology. They're really majoring in football development.
Hey,
That's
hold
what
up,
they're
hold
there
up.
for.
My brother has his master's in kinesiology. So
I'm
you're
just
gonna
I'm just using I'm not saying that that's a
Right.
bad major. I'm saying their academic major may be management or marketing kinesiology, but their actual majors, they're there
Communications.
to be developed as a football player. They're there to be developed as that first and foremost. So if it does not work for them to be at a school, they ought to be able to move to a different school just like everybody else does. I know they signed a national letter of intent, but at the end of the day, once I set foot on a campus, I do not belong to that university, whether I play football or not. I just don't. And I hate to tell you guys this, but Alabama created this problem. When we stack 5 stars and 4 stars, 3 guys, 4 guys deep into the roster at every single position, people are going to leave. It's what's going to happen because everybody can't play. Saban created this problem. That's why all these Alabama players are going. You don't have starters leaving. You don't have the next guy up. We don't even know what this guy was doing. I mean, we had to go research his name to know that he played special teams and had 9 tackles. He was nothing to the overall picture of the team as far as we were concerned.
You're right. He was nothing to the overall picture of the team last year. I knew his name because he was the top prospect to last year's 2018 class.
Okay.
We're coming in tomorrow. We're recording on Tuesday night. We're coming in tomorrow where we're going to know all of these names. And the only reason we know this guy is because he was the number 1 recruit in this class.
Yeah. Number 4 in the nation, as a matter of fact, when he was recruited.
Right.
But but the point that you made and where we got off before on the text conversation that we had about this, Dave, was that you actually made the point that students in a major should hold that same commitment because their yes should be yes and their no should be no, just like a football player should. At the end of the day, these people have to be allowed to do what's best for them within certain guidelines. I agree. Someone transferring every year and just shopping around, it's somebody who leaves a
Blake
job
Barnett.
every year.
Blake
Right.
Barnett.
That was the worst decision he could have made to move around that much, and it ended up not paying off for him. He made the mistake and he paid for it. But they should be allowed to make that mistake. They should be allowed to make that choice. I mean, if Alabama said no,
Maybe it wasn't a mistake. We haven't talked.
Maybe
Maybe it wasn't a mistake. We haven't talked to Blake Barnett. He may have had.
What's
he may
Blake
have.
Barnett doing? Is he going to make it to the NFL this year? Probably not.
Well, you say all of that as if making it to the NFL is the only purpose in playing college football. And if it is, then these guys need to transfer and go exactly where they want to be to give them the best chance to make it to the NFL.
Exactly where you wanted to be when you decided this is where I'm going to play my college football?
Because you don't have all the information. You get there, you find out, oh, these guys aren't giving me as much playing time as I thought. Oh, I thought this was going to happen. Oh, these coaches I thought that were going to be there, these coaches that recruited me are no longer there.
When you commit to a school, you commit to the school, not the coaches. Ben, when you committed to the communications program at Alabama, did you commit to Pam Tron or did you commit to Alabama?
If I had decided that I wanted to be a veterinarian at some point in my undergraduate time, Alabama doesn't have a veterinarian program. I would have found another school and transferred to become a vet. It wouldn't have been Auburn. It would have been some other school with a veterinary school.
Sanford, of course. But when you decide on your major, you commit to the school, not the teachers. Did you commit to Jim Oakley? No. You committed to Alabama.
I like Jim Oakley.
Oh,
but yeah. So,
Oak is awesome, but you didn't commit to Alabama just because of Oak.
But whenever I want to transfer, I can transfer.
But wait. It's one thing to sit here and say that someone that heads the department that you really never talk to except when you first day and your last day, right? And it's another thing to say that a professor who's going to teach you one 101 class and a couple 300 level classes that you're going to see for 2 hours a week. These players are playing for coaches that they see 5-6 days a week for most of their time that they're awake. I mean, when Mike Locksley recruited this guy, he brought him in with promises and things he said he was going to do. Now, the terms of the contract have changed because the person who made the promises by which that deal was signed has left. He's gone to Maryland, and it's most likely that this guy will go to Maryland too. So when you change the terms, you change the decision. You have all of the information, you move along with it. It's like I said earlier, they closed the IE school. Had I been 2 years into my undergrad when they closed the IE school, I wouldn't have stuck around and gone into construction engineering. I'd have gone somewhere else.
You wouldn't have been able to hang out with me for those other 2 years, Adam. That's something that would have been bad.
Well, I would have been seen in the future and knew we had this podcast, and we'd still be yelling at each other 15 years later. So it would have been fine.
We yelled at each other even 15 years ago. So
let me ask you this. Anthony Davis with the Pelicans right now. He walked into the office and said, I don't want to be here anymore. I need to be traded.
Well, he got fined for that.
Well, he signed a contract. He signed a 5-year contract with them and basically walked in and said, I'm not going to abide to the terms of my contract. Should he be allowed to have that conversation?
Should he be allowed to have it? No. But that's something that the players...
He should not be allowed to have that conversation.
Here's the deal. He got fined for that. So obviously he shouldn't be allowed to have the conversation because that's against the NBA bylaws.
So within the rules of the NBA, it's not allowed. So he got fined. Within the rules of the NCAA, transfer portal is allowed. So we can have one thing be according to the rules and not another thing be according to the rules.
There are things that are okay by the rules that are not, shouldn't be okay. I mean, Adam,
that really is the crux of the get off my lawn take.
Here, okay, fine.
These things shouldn't be this way.
I remember back turn of the century, things were different.
Let me tell you something. Football helmets, we shouldn't even be wearing football helmets. A face mask, that's not how I learned to play in the 20s.
Go ahead, Dave.
You want to see my friend Larry Bird?
Go ahead, Dave.
Anyway, we've had this discussion very, very briefly back in, I think it was episode 29 or something like that. But I asked you this question.
Yep.
When you bring your son up, Aiden is what, 7 now?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he's 9, dude.
He's 9. Wow, I'm old. Okay. When Aiden is growing up, let's say he's 18, and you have instructed him, as the Bible says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. You make an oath. Do you tell Aiden, it's okay to break that oath and go somewhere else just because you haven't gone, things haven't gone your way?
I think using Bible verses to trap college students into a system of college football like this is incredibly disingenuous and is completely not in the spirit of what the Scripture is trying to accomplish.
But what they're trying to accomplish
let your yes
say
be,
yes to your oath.
Let your yes be yes, I'm leaving.
But that's not what you said in your oath, your original oath.
So you mean to? So let me word this a little bit differently. If my son was playing football for the University of Alabama,
okay,
and he came up to me and said, "Dad, the quarterback's coach I've been working under, because obviously he's the starting quarterback. The quarterback's coach that I've been working under is leaving, and I'm really concerned because what I'm hearing is that the guy that's going to replace him doesn't play the style of offense that I thrive in, and I'm kind of nervous about sticking around." I would sit there and I say, "Well, you know what, Aiden? I'm sorry, son, but you got to stick with what's not going to be best for you, even though you probably could play in the NFL. You need to suffer the next 3 years under a style that doesn't even match the way that you play and sit on the bench instead of being out there starting because, sorry, son, you told him when you were 18 you were going to stick around. That's the way the world works sometimes.
How do you know that? You've heard through the grapevine, but you don't know for a fact.
Well, this whole thing's a hypothetical anyway, Dave.
But that's what I'm saying, though.
You don't know why Anoma's transferring. You don't know his reasons for transferring. You don't know why Kelly Bryant wanted to leave Clemson. We got a guess, but we don't know for sure why he wanted to leave Clemson. So
I would
all that's hypothetical too.
Just to answer the question, if we looked at it and the best thing for my son's development and putting him in a position to either get a better education, either get, whether if he's just a student or get a better development in his sports career and from an athletic standpoint, if that's what he does, wherever it is, even if it's 2 years or 3 years into it, if it means going somewhere else for 1 year to get the best possible opportunities, I would tell him to take it. More than I would have him sit somewhere where he's just riding the bench and not even getting out there on the field to show anybody what he's capable of. And that's what this guy was doing. He had 9 tackles in 13 games. I mean, that's a tackle a game. He's not showing anybody what he's capable of. So, of course, it makes sense for him to go somewhere else.
Dave, by your logic, where your yes should be yes and your no should be no, and you've made a commitment, then players shouldn't be able to leave a year early for the NFL draft. But you don't find fault with that. Those guys are acting like free agents going to the NFL.
Have I said I don't find fault in that?
So you think it's unacceptable for players to leave a year early? You think every football player should stay 4 years? Is that what you're going to?
No,
are you going to make that argument on the show?
No, I'm not. The contract does not. The contract states 3 to 4 years, I believe. I haven't read the LOIs lately. So, okay, we're going to agree to disagree on this, and I'm sure this is going to come up again in the offseason because I'm sure it'll happen again and again and again. But let's just leave it as it is. I am old man. Get off my lawn. Apparently, Adam is in line with the millennial thinking. That blows my mind.
Wow, dude. Wow.
I had to get that last jab. Ben, you got some picks for us?
Yes, I do. Let's get to picking. We've got the Saturday games to pick. We've got, starting off with a 1 o'clock tip-off, number 5, Kentucky on the road at Mississippi State. Kentucky seems most assuredly to be in the tournament. Mississippi State seems confidently in the tournament, but it sure would help them out if they got a win at home versus the Cats. What's going to happen in this game, guys?
I don't think it'll happen. I think Kentucky is peaking at the right time. Mississippi State is kind of a ebb and flow type team. I think Kentucky truly is a better team. Kentucky will win this one pretty handily.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mississippi State's been kind of flat lately compared to how they started. I think that continues. Kentucky takes this game.
I am going to go with Kentucky as well. They are playing really good basketball ever since they lost to Alabama. All right, Ole Miss on the road at Georgia.
Neither of these teams are playing as well as they should, but I'm going to take Ole Miss to win this game.
Yeah, man, Georgia 1-7 in the conference is going to be 1-8 after this game. I got Ole Miss.
You know what? This seems like a good time for Georgia to pick one up. I will take the Bulldogs. Next up, a 2 o'clock tip-off, Auburn at LSU. LSU's number 21 in the land.
I hate picking them, but Auburn wins.
Really? I'm surprised. No, I'm going to go with LSU at home in this one. I think they go to 8-1.
I think I'm going to go with the Tigers.
Ah.
From Baton Rouge. I will take LSU at home. Next up, it's Arkansas versus South Carolina. This game will take place in Columbia.
Neither of these teams are on my radar for good basketball. I'm just going to go and flip a coin and say Arkansas.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I'm going to flip a coin and pick the home team. I got South Carolina.
South Carolina is actually a very good rebounding team. I think if they're rebounding well and they're at home, that's going to spell good things for the Gamecocks. Next up, Florida at Tennessee. Florida is just coming off of a loss to Auburn. They're on the bubble. A lot of projections have them as one of the last 4 in, and that was before they lost to Auburn. Are they going to get a second loss this week by losing to Tennessee in Knoxville?
Easily. Tennessee wins pretty handily and destroys Florida.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I got Tennessee big.
Yeah, I think Tennessee is going to get the win here. All right, Texas A&M taking on Mizzou. Neither one of these teams is really near the top of the league. This game's taking place in Columbia, Missouri. What's going to happen?
I'll take the road team and take Texas A&M in this one because neither of these teams are good either.
I'm going to go home again on this one. It's, again, another one that's kind of even. I got Missouri.
Yeah, I really could flip a coin either way, but I'll take Mizzou at home. All right, one game left to pick. It's Alabama traveling to the Weird Gym in Vandy. What's going to happen for this game, guys?
What's the name of the place, Dave?
Memorial Gymnasium.
Gymnasium.
A.K.A.
Gymnasium.
The Weird Gym. The Weird Gym.
Yeah, the Weird Gym. Hey, Ben, real quick, what is Vandy's record?
9-13.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take Bama to win this on the road. I'm going to say it's going to be a pretty decent score of 85-68. 85-68 Bama.
Wow. Impressive. I've got Bama. I'll go with 74-65.
All right. For my pick, I'm going to pick Bama to get the road win. Just because they really need a road win of some sort. I will take Bama. I will take Bama to edge out Vandy. I really had high hopes for this Vandy team because they had so much talent, but they've had so many things go wrong for them this year. I think Bama's going to get this win, and they're going to win 76-72. It'll be close because it's always close in the Weird Gym.
All right. Well, those are our picks. And now it's time for Ben.
And now it's time for Alliance of American Football picks.
Oh, yeah, we got more football picks.
We got to get our AAF picks in. Let's not jump
All right,
the gun.
let's do it. Let's do it.
We're going to save the first game of the day for our last pick. San Diego at San Antonio. What's going to happen in this game?
I'm going to take San Antonio to win this one. I think San Antonio's got a good little lineup. I'm going to take them to win.
Yeah, San Diego's picked down there in the bottom with Memphis and Birmingham, like we were talking about earlier. I've got San Antonio in this one too.
Ever since the Chargers left San Diego, that city has been hungry for football. Just the spirit of San Diego is going to be carrying that team on the road. I like San Diego to get the win. Next up, Atlanta at Orlando, a good southeastern matchup between the Atlanta team and the Apollos, who Adam is going to try to be at this game.
I'm going to try, yeah. I've got, of course, I'm going to be a little bit of a homer for the first game of the year. I'm going to go with the Apollos, although I'm intrigued by Atlanta. I want to see how they play, but I think Orlando and Atlanta kind of picked to be in the middle of the pack together. I think Orlando edges them out, though.
So you don't think the Legends will be legendary?
I do not.
No.
I think the Apollo's aim will be true.
I think Atlanta has a good quarterback in Aaron Murray, but the lasting thought in my mind about Aaron Murray is just his look of fear as Alabama blindsided him in a block. I think that's what's going to happen this weekend when the old ball coach gets the win, and I think everything will be jumping down there in Central Florida's home field of the Bounce House. The Bounce House will be jumping as the Apollos win.
Dave, you touched on it. Only one team has the head ball coach. I'm going to go with Spurrier and pick him until I have a reason not to pick Spurrier. I'm going to go with Orlando. All right, some Western teams. Salt Lake at Arizona. What do you guys like for this matchup?
I don't know much about either of these teams, but just Salt Lake having a team intrigues me. On a whim, I'm just going to take Salt Lake here. I think that they might surprise some people. I'm going to take Salt Lake.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Arizona just because they're favored to win the whole thing at the end of the year. But I'm intrigued. This will be a really good litmus test to see how two of the expected top teams will shake out.
It is time.
I've got Arizona.
It is time for football to finally be good in the state of Arizona. I'm picking Zona for this game. All right, we've got Memphis at Birmingham. Who are you guys taking?
I'm going to go homer here, and I think that Trent Richardson and Blake Sims finally get a win when it matters. I'm going with the Iron.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Iron too, even though I think Memphis Express is my favorite mascot out of all of them, given because the whole FedEx thing there in town. It's hilarious. But I'm going to go with the Iron.
I do really like Memphis's logo package. That's a good point, Adam. But just because you look good doesn't mean you're going to play good. Birmingham is getting the win. It is a win in Legion Field. I love it. I'm excited. I'm fired up for the Iron. Those are the picks. And now it's time for the sideline warnings.
Go ahead, Ben. You always do it first.
Well, my sideline warnings are simple right now. We didn't get to give enough time to college basketball as much as I'd like. So I'm just going to simply say, yes, the Auburn loss was without a doubt the worst loss of the season, but the season is not tied up in one loss. This week is the week when you can't make errors when you have teams like Georgia and Vandy. So Bama, let's rise to the occasion, let's focus, and let's get these wins, and then let's get ready to keep moving. You got teams like Florida that are faltering. This is a chance to move up in the standings and really make a statement that Bama belongs in the tournament. So don't have miscues, because if you fail to win these games, that could be near fatal. Wins aren't going to do a lot to improve the resume. They're just going to say we are who we thought we were. So Bama, let's stay focused. Let's go get these wins. Let's beat Georgia. Let's beat Vandy. Let's get the job done.
So are you saying that it's time for Bama to start rise up?
Oh, I love it.
little Hamilton joke in here.
I love it.
It's time for Bama to rise up.
Ben can't wait for the next home game so he can be in the room where it happens.
Oh. Wow. All right, Adam. Go ahead.
Yeah, my plea, my sideline warning is a plea to the fine folks of Central Florida. We've talked a couple of times on the show since I've been on about how, the O-Rays left right when I got here. We've had the Predators went bankrupt and now they're shut down too. So let's all in Orlando just get together. Let's give the Apollos a shot. Professional sports, semi-professional sports, minor league sports, all of the things that have come and gone through here. Nothing has really lasted. Nothing's really taken a hold. So let's all go out this Sunday and let's support Orlando against Atlanta. Let's go cheer them on, even though we have to be in UCF Stadium and you have to set foot on campus.
Bounce house.
It will be worth it. So let's all go and let's actually make this work for once, Orlando. So mine is really quick, really straightforward. It's just a plea to the fine people of Central Florida. Let's actually show them some support and let's make this last because I think the AAF is going to be good for everybody.
I agree, and this isn't my sideline warning, but I'm going to say the same thing to Birmingham. Make it happen because Birmingham has been known for one and dones. The Barracudas were here for maybe a season or two. You had the XFL, which went under for one season. Let's make this stick in Birmingham. Let's make this AAF a serious contender for springtime football. I think it's time to have year-round football. And if the AAF is going to work, we need Orlando and Birmingham to pick it up and show up. All right, here's my sideline warning. And I'm going to take it probably a little non-sports, you could say, but it has to do with a sports topic. The Super Bowl halftime show, in 4 letters, SUCK. It sucked. Maroon 5 as a band itself, not bad. But then you had so many opportunities to make this a great halftime show. You're in the city of Atlanta. Why not get Atlanta musicians? Usher reps Atlanta all the time. Ludacris. I understand that you might not want somebody of Ludacris's skill set to be up there and rapping, but Luda can actually PG-13 his lyrics up. Instead, you go and get Travis Scott, who you had to have your finger on the trigger button to mute every other word he says. You tease at Atlanta music by getting Big Boy out there, but he does 30 seconds of an old Outkast song. And like BK said, why not bring Andre 3000 out there with Big Boy and have a small Outkast reunion? If you're going to have the AT Aliens out there, you have him come out in his AT Alien shirt or jacket. Bring the Atlanta music scene to the forefront. Jermaine Dupri. How awesome would this Super Bowl have been if you go, yo, 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 and he comes out with this Welcome to Atlanta theme, and that's your halftime show. It's time for the NFL guys to put up or shut up. We've had some decent halftime shows the last couple of years. I know you're afraid of this Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake thing happening again, but that happened a long time ago before there was a 7-second delay. Now you have a 7-second delay in these live broadcasts. It's time to bring good music back to halftime shows. Gentlemen, do we know where the Super Bowl is next year? Look it up for me, because I'm a little upset because they need to start doing this host city theme. A couple of years ago, you were in New Jersey. What's wrong with having Springsteen or Bon Jovi, these legends of New Jersey? Yet you have, I can't remember who it was in New Jersey. It was some crappy person. Adam, where are we at?
It's in Hard Rock Stadium.
In Miami?
Yes.
I got a perfect one for you. Gloria Estefan, Pitbull.
Maybe Steve McNair could make a cameo.
Oh no, come on. I'm thinking Pitbull because he reps it, Mr. 305, or you've got Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine. I mean, come on.
Yes, Gloria Estefan would be an excellent halftime entertainment in 1993.
Okay,
how about
fine.
Flo Rida,
Pitbull.
Still 2008.
The fact that you're suggesting Pitbull and completely undermines any argument you can make.
Especially about having your finger on the trigger button of the Blues.
Let's have a good halftime show by bringing in Pitbull.
Okay,
Mr. Fine. Worldwide.
Miami. Who do you bring in for Miami? I'm sitting and trying to think. Those are the Miami people I'm thinking of.
Enrique Iglesias.
Let me be your hero, baby.
The real problem here is NFL teams don't have their own marching bands.
Hey, you're not going to find me complaining about that, and some of them do. The Redskins have a marching band.
It fits with they always try to be hip, right, and get good folks. How about Jason Derulo? That's someone kind of recent.
Why
How about
not?
John Cicada?
Wow. All right. But I've been saying this for years, and Adam, I text you every year. It was in Texas a couple of years ago. Where was George Strait?
Yeah.
Why are we not?
Oh, they would never in a million years. You know that the NFL would never have that happen.
But still, why are we not having these great?
Because Pepsi, what did it used to be? The choice of a new generation, and George Strait is not anybody's choice in this new generation.
Ooh, actually, I got your Miami artist. How about Camila Cabello?
Who?
She's got like she's like top in the charts right now.
Why not?
She's a pop. She's a pop singer. She's like top of the pop charts, and she lives in Miami. She's a Cuban American. Perfect.
There you go.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
There you go. Why not? There you go. If it's in Miami next year, have a Miami native.
I'm very proud of you, Dave. You've gone from get off my lawn guy to turn down that music guy in the span of one podcast.
She's got that song Havana. It was real big the past year.
Havana, na na na.
Yeah. See
okay.
her.
Yeah. I got it.
She's from Miami. Put her in. There you go. Done.
All right. Done. Okay. There you go.
The main takeaway from Dave's sideline warning is Ben should plan the Super Bowl halftime show.
There you go.
I think that's wonderful.
How about Rainbow Kitten Surprise? There you go. All right.
They could do the national anthem.
Well, guys, there you go. That's going to do it for the Magic City Music Cast. No, that's going to do it for Sideline Warning this week. As always,
there goes my brand.
If you want to get a hold of the show, like BK did earlier tonight, Adam, how do they do that?
And 931-44-BLITZ. That's 931-44-BLITZ. Just leave a quick voicemail. And as you see, every time we get one, we play it on the show. So let's get some calls in there and let's get some good takes, good questions. We'll discuss it on the show.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, we are at SW The Show. I am at DAdams419. He is at The Ben Foster, and he is at Run Tide Run. We are also on Instagram at SW The Show. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/SW The Show. Also join our Facebook fan group. We're going to have that poll of what should my dog's name be on Twitter and the Facebook fan group. So vote there. If we get a numerous amount of votes, I will make that the dog's name. It has to be those four, though. We will not take suggestions. That will not be happening. Guys, we say it every week. We mean it. We love you. We'll see you next week. Roll Tide and go Iron. And then we'll do our intro, and then we'll take a cut, and then we'll do our break, and then we'll come in with the call, and then Dave and Adam, the Rumble in the Jungle.
Welcome to the jungle.
I'll get the popcorn ready.
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun games.
Ladies and gentlemen, the outtake machine, David Adams.
We got everything you want. Jungle where we play, and we are people that we find. Whatever you may need. If you got your money, honey, we got your disease in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Won't you bring it to your knees? Oh, I want to watch you bleed.
My wife just texted me and said, if you wake up Harper, I'm going to stab you.
Whoa. And we thought the singing was the outtake. I think we just got our outtake right there. Ben's like, yep, all too easy.
Ben said this is going to be an easy edit.
Yep.
There's going to be nothing easy about this edit.
Okay. Ready? In 3, 2. What are you taking a picture of?
It doesn't matter.
Feisty.
Can you quit being so easily distracted?
It doesn't matter. Hey, Ben, what are you doing? It doesn't matter.
What is he, The Rock? It doesn't matter what you're taking a picture of.
I'm trying to photograph the Auburn game because there is somebody sitting behind Bruce Pearl that looks like Adam.
Really?
Now I'm going to look.
I was rewinding the game. They're about to show...
That's the you here.
Okay, hold on. I got it. I'm texting it to you.
Yeah, it looks like a brown head version of you, Adam.
The one in the middle?
No, the one like he's got his ring showing right under live.
It kind of looks like Adam, doesn't it?
I'm going to caption this with me trying to get my way into the Birmingham Iron interview while Dave takes all my questions.
That's what editing's for. Also, Dave's editing this week, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Not this week, dude. Not this week.
You said you would? I mean, you got to let your yes be yes. You got to let your yes. No, you said you would. You got to let your yes be yes and your no be no, Dave.
$30. I will pay you $30 for you to edit this week.
Dave,
I will send it to you in PayPal.
You got to let your yes be yes and your no be no.
I will send you $30 in PayPal.
That doesn't sound like letting your yes be yes. That sounds like buying your way out of a yes. It's almost like you found a way to get out of your contract.
Shut your mouth. I'm glad this is not on air.
It's definitely an outtake.
Let your yes be yes or your no be no.
Yeah,
Dude, not this week. I can't transfer this week.